Okay, does everyone hear me? Most of you are going to be on mute, so you can just wave your hand if you see me. Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Chef Moshe, and thank you for joining us today. So we decided to attempt recently. My mother and my sister, my wife, and all the girls of the family decided to do a cooking demo, and so all the guys felt left out. So we decided that we want to take part. So that's why we're here today. And so all the guys, the Sasonkin guys, are going to attempt. I'm going to stress attempt a cooking demo here. One of the things that we decided, the theme that we're going to do today, even though it's 1 o'clock, we're going to do a breakfast theme. And in our house growing up, one of the staples of a good breakfast, and my father's Israeli, so maybe that's where it was inspired, is a good scrambled egg and a salad and some toast, something along those lines. So many of us are probably doing something along those lines, each a little different, but we hope you enjoy. I just wanted to make mention of something interesting about some of the things that we're going to talk about also is about keeping kosher, because when we're talking about food, you got to, when you're Judaism is all about food, but there's also the requirement of keeping kosher, and we're going to talk about it throughout today, and I hope you guys will enjoy as well. I'm going to start off with my eldest brother, Shmuley, and he's going to lead off today's cooking show. So Shmuley, you could unmute yourself and take it away.
Okay, hello everybody. Does everyone hear me? Maisha, you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, very good. So if you thought you were coming to watch an awesome cooking show with awesome recipes and ways how to make food, you got it wrong, because that's not what I'm going to do today. I'm joking. I'm going to do some kind of cooking presentation, but obviously I don't claim to be someone who does expert. It's not my expertise to cook food, but what I could show you is the explanations of food based on Kabbalah. I'm joking. I'll do that too, but I'm going to show you how I make food when basically in a fast and efficient way, and also in a healthy way. So it's fast food, but healthy food, in a way that's not complicated and probably simple. And maybe a lot of people do it this way, but here we go. So as you see that it's 1 o'clock, and so it's not necessarily a breakfast, but it's any time that, let's say, you want to eat and you just want to have something quick, or really it's like a break fast for you, because let's say you didn't eat the whole morning and it's lunchtime, so it's breakfast. So anyways, here we go. To start with, I'm going to start with the coffee. So I like to have my breakfast with a coffee, and I'm doing this in real time, so showing you everything I do. So in this kind of coffee machine, we put the water inside to a certain level. I put 8 ounces. Then I put the coffee cup inside. We press go, and it takes a couple minutes. Okay. Then for bread, I like to use Ezekiel bread. It's actually it's one of the kosher, not only a kosher brand, but it's actually something called Pas Yisrael, which means that it's an extra level of supervision by Jewish people and by Jewish kosher organizations, and that's the level that we keep. So any Ezekiel bread, food for life, as long as it's Chaf Parev, then it's actually the highest kosher standard for bread, and I like to use this. Sometimes we'll use this as well. Also, this is also the higher kosher standard of bread. The 365 company from Whole Foods, and I use the whole wheat one. So what I do here is I like to make toast, and especially if I'm in a hurry, then, and if it's frozen bread, so there's 2 ways I do it. Either I mean, probably the easiest way to do it is if you have a regular just toaster, a small toaster machine. But But in the case that you don't, so I usually use either the dairy toaster oven, which could take a little while. And in that case, after the bread is done toasting, then I'll put butter on it, being that it's a dairy oven. But in the case that I don't, that I need the time, and I want to do it even quicker. So my meat oven has a broil aspect, and so I just put it on broil. Press start, put the frozen bread in. I'm just gonna put 2 pieces for today. I put it on the top shelf, and probably takes 2 minutes, maybe around that time period. And then take it out, flip it over, and then another 2 minutes, take it out, and then it's good toast, and it's time efficient. Okay, then I don't always make eggs, but since eggs was mentioned as a staple for something that we used to do as kids a lot also, and it's like the one food that I know how to cook. So here's what we're gonna do. It's not a fancy recipe or anything, but I like to use olive oil for everything. So here's extra virgin olive oil into a pot. We're gonna put it on the fire. We're gonna check the eggs. That's the kosher way of doing it. We check for blood spots. If there's blood spots, then we throw that part away. And while the bread is cooking, while the bread is baking, and while we're going to prepare the eggs, as we call it in Hebrew, the chavita, scrambled eggs. So today is actually a very special day on the Jewish calendar. It's the 5th day of the month of Av, or Menachem Av, and it is the yahrzeit, the day of passing of. Okay, it's the day of passing of the Arizal. For those of you who didn't hear of the Arizal, he was one of the foremost people who taught Kabbalah, and he was the first person to really make the Zohar, the primary book of Kabbalah, in a more systematic and comprehensive form. And pretty much, I think everyone follows that method of Kabbalah today. And he also, and due to him, the Hasidic movement and the Chabad in particular was spread out and was started because of him. He was one of the initial people to spread the similar concept. So let me see where my bread is holding. Okay, another 30 seconds or so for the bread. So one of the things that he taught was that it says in the Torah that man does not live on bread alone, but by the utterance of God's mouth does man live. But he explained a little twist of that. It's not that man does not live on bread alone, but by the utterance of God's mouth. But he explained that it means, but by the utterance of God's mouth within the bread. What does that mean? So basically, it's a very deep concept, but the idea is that there's 4 levels. I'll put my eggs in. There we go. I'll split the toast. Ooh, okay, nice and toasty. We'll take another minute for the toast. Coffee is ready, perfect. So basically the universe is split up into 4 different levels, and the lowest level is the like stones and things that they're called inaudible, and then the next part, the higher level, is the vegetation. The higher level, higher than that goes the. By the way, I'm just making a regular, simple scrambled egg, as you can see. Tastes good. It's simple, quick, and just with a little bit of salt. And higher than the vegetation is the animal kingdom, and the higher than that is the human being. And basically, the Kabbalistic concept is, some people like this a little on the wetter side, some people like on the drier side. I think I like it in the middle. I think now it's reached kind of the middle, so I'll put it, just put it on the side over here. I'm going to use my plate here for something else. Basically, like I said, if we use my knife, if we use the dairy stove, the dairy oven, then I put butter. If not, I'm gonna just put avocado. Here's an avocado. Very, very simple. Just cut up the avocado and put it on the plate or on the cutting board, whatever you use, and then mash it. Put salt on it, and there you go. You have a nice avocado spread, which you can put on the toast. And also, I just cut up very simple. Just not gonna do the whole thing here to save time, but I cut up just slices of tomato like this, and sprinkle some olive oil on it, some salt. Put it on. Oh my gosh, the bread is burnt, but I love burnt bread anyways. Here we go. I like burnt bread. So basically, we just smear the avocado and the tomato on here. Avocado goes first, then the tomato, and you make a blessing. First we wash before we eat, then we make the blessing on the bread, and this is on the side. So just to finish off with the Kabbalistic insight is that, like we said, there's 4 levels. There's the inanimate or the inaudible, the vegetation, the animal kingdom, and the human being. Now, every let's say godly energy that's found, that's the lower the creature is, the higher the godly light and energy is found in it, because the idea is that when something falls low, it's presumed to the lower it falls, the higher it means that it came from even a higher place. So so this is from the lowest part of the levels of the world, because it's from the inaudible, the inanimate. And when that means it has the highest godly spark. So when a person eats bread, back to the verse that it says that we don't live by bread alone, but by the utterance of God's mouth. It's not only that God makes us alive as human beings per se, but when we partake in eating the proper way, and with a blessing and making sure that it's kosher, and we eat from the substance that God created, that really comes from a higher source, a higher godly source, then we are actually giving ourselves greater infusion of godly energy, because it's coming from a higher place. And that's the story for today, folks. So I'm going to pass on the mic. How long was that? 10 minutes for a quick breakfast? Okay. Pass on the mic to my brother, Rabbi Chaim Baruch, from Parkland, Florida. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Shmuley. That was wonderful. I'm going to try that next time I make breakfast. Okay, so today we are going to, lately I've been trying to figure out what I'm really good at, and I'm going to do cereal and milk today. So, no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to do something that is hard to make. A lot of people, you can get it at restaurants, but not many people know how to make it at home. So hopefully this will help learn how to make this. I'm going to make a poached egg with a hollandaise sauce, and let's see how this works out. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get your water bubbling to a boil, get it out about half a pot up over there, and get it, after it boils, you want to bring it down to a simmer. Now, many people won't put any vinegar or salt inside of it because they feel like it is, let's try to do it on my phone over here, they feel like that it will ruin the substance of the egg. But I will put in a little bit splash of vinegar right over there. And I will put in a sprinkle of salt over here, and it's on a simmer. Now, we're gonna crack the eggs. What you wanna do is, you wanna make sure, now my apron's falling off. I don't really use this often, so. All right. We're gonna take the egg and crack it and sift it into a bowl. The reason why we're sifting is because we want to get the excess egg whites out. That will just make a mess in the pot. So we take this egg right here with the egg yolk, pour it into here. That will be our first egg. And then the second egg, we will crack over here. Let the excess egg whites fall out. We don't need that. And we will just have our 2 beautiful egg yolks right over there. Okay. Now, we're going to take our egg yolks, our egg whites, and we're going to move it to the pot. and put them in. See how we can set this up right over here. Perfect. What you want to do is to get the perfect poached egg with the egg whites covering the yolk, you want to take a whisk and kind of make a little tornado. You know, the stuff that you get in Akron, a little tornado. Go like that. Once you do that, you put your eggs right into the middle. That's one. And the second one right over there. And now we put a timer on for 3 minutes. And you want to cook it exactly for 3 minutes, otherwise it's going to get overcooked. While we do that, we're going to start making our hollandaise sauce. I put in a ½ cup of butter in there, or in this case, margarine, because it's Fleischick microwave. It's a meat microwave, so we're going to melt that for about 1:30, get it really, really nice and hot. And we are going to start on our sauce over here. We'll take our 3 or 4 egg yolks, take out the whites. We don't need the whites, just the egg yolks. We are going to put a splash of hot water right over there. Splash of hot water, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and there goes my apron. We'll just take it off for now. And a sprinkle of cayenne pepper, some people put in. Some people also put in mustard, but we're not going to put in mustard today. And we are going to zhuzh it, as they call it. Zhuzh it. For about 5 seconds. Okay. So we zhuzh that a little bit. Then we take a lemon and put in about a tablespoon of lemon. I'm just going to squeeze it right in from the lemon. Get in there. And mix that again. And then comes the important part. All right. That comes the important part with the margarine or butter. In order to get it a thicker margarine, we need to make sure to pour it in while it's really, really hot. Otherwise, it's not going to become thick. 1:12 left on the eggs, and they're looking gorgeous. Okay, while I zhuzh it, I'm going to pour in the butter or margarine slowly until it becomes a thicker substance. Now we're going to just mix it for about 30 seconds. I don't know if you can hear me while this is going, but some people cook this on top of a hot steaming water pot. Some people will put a bowl on top of a hot water pot and let the steam, and you put the eggs and you whisk it over there. And some people do it this way. So far it's looking really nice. I'll leave this over here. We're gonna go over to our eggs. It just beeped, perfect timing. And look at that, they look beautiful. What you wanna do is you wanna take the eggs out with a slotted spoon, just like that, and put them onto a paper towel so it doesn't get the bread or whatever you're putting it on all wet. And that is perfect. Turn that timer off. Now you can serve it on a few things. You can serve it on bread, toast. Today I decided to go a little more healthy. We're gonna serve it on a bed of asparagus. And I roasted asparagus right before the video. I got about 425 for 15-20 minutes with some oil, salt, pepper, and garlic cloves. So we are going to take that, put it on the plate. Put 2 of them. We'll move over here. We're going to take a spoon. Set up the camera here so you can see what we're doing. pick up the egg yolk now that it's all dried out, not to put the egg right on top of the asparagus. Slowly so it doesn't break. There we go. We'll take a little bit of salt and pepper. Some people put some parsley or some other garnish on top of it. We'll just sprinkle with pepper. Okay. And here comes the fun part with the sauce. So we got our eggs right over here on top of the asparagus. I'm going to take a spoon. And get that good looking sauce right over. Oh, it's pouring just nicely. Okay, let's get a little more in there. On toast, I'm sure it's great. And now we're gonna take one cut right into it and see how the egg yolk came out. And you can see, let me flip the camera so you can see it better. There we go. And we'll cut right into that. See how that just pours all over the place. And that is how you make a poached egg with asparagus for a healthy breakfast. Thank you, everyone. And we are going to pass on the mic to Moshe.
See it? Yeah. Okay. Okay, my turn. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do things multitasking a bit over here. So please bear with me. I'm gonna be making 3 things today. I'm making a salad. I'm making a veggie omelet, and I'm gonna be making cheese sticks. So the first thing is I'm gonna cut some onions up. And the smaller you cut it, the quicker it'll be. And sometimes when you cut it extra small and you don't have as much time, it's a lot easier, because then you don't have to worry about taking too long if you want to do a quick breakfast. I'm going to stick the onions right into the pan. Let that start to cook up. We're going to cut a little tomato up over here. Not a lot of it, it's a little bit. It's for one portion, so you don't need much. I'm going to cut up some basil, a bit of a mushroom, and some red pepper, not hot pepper, just regular. And you put this all together into the pan and let that stir up a bit. Now, some people actually prefer this not really cooked up a lot. They like it just slightly cooked. Some people like it more sauteed. So it all depends on what you prefer. I'm gonna get my eggs ready. I have 3 eggs over here. I'm just gonna scramble them up and put a little bit of salt in it. You can put any type of seasoning you want: salt, pepper, garlic powder. The great thing about this dish is that you can put whatever you want in this thing. It all works pretty much. Any vegetable that you like, you stick in there and it works. And it all works very well. Okay, our eggs are pretty much almost, our vegetables almost ready. Simultaneously, just so that we can get things moving, because the cheese sticks, I don't want to take too much time. So I have 4 blocks of mozzarella, and there's a 3-step process to it, or pretty much. So I have eggs, I have flour, and I have some, this is my coating. The coating could be anything you want. It could be a flour, it could be breadcrumbs, it could be whatever you want. I personally use chips. Ground up chips already has a seasoning in it, and it's delicious. And I prefer this chip. It's sweet and spicy jalapeno kettle cooked chips. They're really good. And so I just crush them up, and you can use those. So the way I do the coating, so I'll take 2 of them. First, put it into the egg, then you put it into flour. Okay. After you've done the flour, you put it back in the egg to give it a second coating. And then finally, you put in the chips or whatever mixture you're going to end up using, okay? It's 1 egg, flour, egg, and then your coating. And the reason for this is that you also want to make sure that the cheese will actually, I'm going to make 3 of them now, that the cheese will melt, will not like start pouring out. You want to make sure that there's a second layer of the coating, which helps the cheese melt properly without oozing too much out. Some people like to freeze their cheese beforehand, so that way it's easier to work with. It doesn't pour out too much. Okay, our eggs are almost ready to go in. I'm going to pour out our mixture here that we made, our little stir-fry mixture, or stir-fry, our omelette mixture here. A little bit more oil in the pan, and get our eggs in. Okay, and the reason I'm doing this, I want the vegetables to go in after the eggs. And here, okay, the oil should be pretty hot because it was already preheated from the other vegetables we put in. Let that sit for a minute. Sometimes people like touching the eggs too much, and it ends up getting ruined. So you want to leave it there, not too much. Then you're ready. Once it starts, you put your veggie mixture in. You sprinkle in some cheese. Nice amount of cheese, depending on how much you like. We're going to put a little bit more at the end. And as it starts forming, put a little bit more salt on this. And you fold it over. It doesn't need to be clean. It can be a little messy. It's fine. It all works. Okay. Fold it a second time. And now you just let it sit over here. While I do this, I'm going to start putting in my already preheated oil. It's a little bit more deep fried style. I'm going to put my, I'm going to put a little more on a simmer because it's very hot. I don't want it to burn too much. Here's a little trick I was always taught, that if you ever want to learn the tricks of flipping an egg. If your fire is ever heated up your oil too strongly, you can always just take it off the fire and it'll still, you can see, it's still sizzling up and it's still cooking in there, even without being on the fire. I'm going to put it back on the low flame. Our egg is almost ready. Flip it one more time over. Cheese is beautiful in there. One more flip. There you go. And then you put it on your plate. Put a little bit more cheese on it if you want. The very thinly shredded cheese will melt nicely on top of it. That is our egg. We're looking at our little cheese sticks over here. They're starting to melt. I'm going to turn them over. You literally need 3 minutes in the fire. While we do that, we're going to start making our salad here. Okay, for our salad, what we're going to use is some lettuce, which we checked for bugs because we don't want to have any bugs in there. And then you could put any vegetables in the salad. It's also another great thing. Salads work with anything you would like. We'll put in a few cherry tomatoes. For color, we have some yellow ones as well. Our cheese sticks are pretty much ready. There we go. Good, delicious. Okay. They're all going to come out now. If you want, you can put it on some paper towel, the cheese sticks, so they don't, not too oily. I wanted to make mention while we're just talking here, and something interesting about keeping kosher as a very special, or even partially kosher, has a very special, it's a very special mitzvah because a lot of mitzvahs, when you think about Judaism and mitzvahs, and you think a lot of times of going to shul and putting a lot of the religious elements of it. Kosher food is a very mundane thing if you're dealing with just your food, the daily things that you're doing, which is a very interesting thing because it shows us that whatever we're doing in our life, most mundane things, we can always add a spice of Judaism and add godliness into the most simple of things that we're doing. So it doesn't have to be just in shul where you're Jewish. You're driving to the store to buy something that's kosher. You're doing a mitzvah, right? You decided not to mix meat and milk at one time. That's a mitzvah, right? And you're doing a lot of things you can do on a very simple. It's nothing too spiritual, nothing too grand, but it is very grand because you're adding God into your regular daily life. Okay, we have just tomatoes, onions. I'm going to put a little bit of a cucumber in as well. And we're going to make our sauce over here, our little seasoning. So for this, we're going to make a balsamic dressing over here. So that we have all our stuff right over here. I've got some mayonnaise. And making this one serving, you don't need too much. Maybe a little splash of balsamic vinegar. The Bartenura company is one of the best that I like. Not too much. Some of that out. Really need just a little touch. It's going to color and give it a very good flavor. Put a very small amount of mustard. And then just to spice it up a bit, put a little garlic, a little bit of salt, and a bit of pepper. All right, mix it up. If it's too thick, the trick is you can always put a little bit of water to it, and it loosens it up. So I'll put a teeny drop of water. Mix it up and then pour it over in salad. Okay, so we have our salad. We have our cheese sticks. They're getting stuck to our paper here. Oh, and one more thing I forgot. Cheese sticks will never be the same if you don't put it into a good tomato sauce. So, second here. Get our tomato sauce. For this, I'm using just a regular canned tomato sauce, plain tomato sauce, which is good in itself, but I'm going to put a little bit of spices in it, a little bit of garlic, and here, a little bit of basil. You could put any other spices that you want in from your cabinet, and it comes out delicious. So you just mix that up, and you can pour it over or use it as a dip. And there you go. You have a delicious breakfast. Didn't take so long, but it's quite easy. And there you go. Our delicious breakfast. Okay, now I'm going to move it on to my brother-in-law, Menachem Klein, from Memphis, Tennessee. So, Menachem, take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, it's great to see you all. Yeah, there we go. All right, it's great to see you all over in Akron and all over. I'm going to share with you guys two of our breakfast favorites here in this house that I have learned actually both come from my bubby. The first recipe I'm going to show you guys is what we call cheese pie in my family, and it uses a nifty ingredient called farina or cream of wheat. You might remember this as baby cereal, but we're going to use it for this great recipe. We use a container of cottage cheese, so 16 ounces of cottage cheese. My grandmother has a big family, and we like to joke that this was her healthier and cheaper version of cheesecake, and it's great tasting and healthy for you, much healthier than cheesecake. So we have our cottage cheese. We're going to put in 1/3 of a cup of cream of wheat to thicken that. You guys can see our bowl a little bit better. There we go. We're going to thicken that. We are going to add 3 eggs. As Shmuley said, we always check our eggs for blood spots. So that's why we're going to use a cup. and we check it for blood spots. Pour that in. And then we have some sugar for some sweetening. We are going to do 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Give it a little bit of extra flavoring, and we're just going to mix that all together to get a nice creamy batter. You really want to work it all through. So this recipe has been edited and changed up throughout the family, throughout the cousins, but it's definitely a favorite, eaten hot or cold. You can eat it right out of the oven, or you can put it in the fridge and save it for the next day. And it's really nice, light, fluffy. We call it a cheese pie in my family, but it's probably closer to a cheese kugel. There we go. We have it in a nice smooth batter. So we got all our sugar and egg and the farina into the cheese. We are going to put a little oil in our pan so it doesn't stick to the bottom. And then we pour our batter right into your pan. Obviously, you can do this in any type of pan. 1 container of cottage cheese usually works for a 9-inch round, or a half size, or a loaf pan, or you can double this if you want to make some more. And then we top it with chocolate chips. Add some good flavoring to it. If you want to stay healthy, you can do it without. It's just as good, just as sweet. We're going to top it with the chocolate chips. We actually do that afterwards so the chocolate chips don't sink to the bottom. And here you can see our nice little pie. And that goes in the oven on 350 for about 40 minutes till the top turns golden brown. I'm not going to keep you for 40 minutes, but you can enjoy that and enjoy it as a breakfast, as a brunch. And that's a great, healthy, light alternative to a cheesecake, and it's very delicious. One other thing I'm going to show you today is also a favorite in our house over here, and that is homemade granola. You might be surprised, but it's actually a lot cheaper and a lot healthier if you make it yourself instead of buying it in the store. So we start out with old-fashioned oats. That's the bigger ones. If you want to go really fancy, you can buy the steel cup. We're putting in about 6 cups of oats right in there. Then we are going to put in, a half a cup of oil. And the next thing we're about to put in is maple syrup. And you can do maple syrup or you can do honey. And here's a little trick, is that whenever you're going to put something sticky in a measuring cup, if you use the measuring cup for oil first, then that honey or that maple syrup will actually come right out. So there was our oil. Also going to put in a half a cup of maple syrup. Maple syrup is a lot healthier than pancake syrup. A half a cup of maple syrup. And you see how that pours right out because our measuring cup had the oil in it. And then we're going to add some flavors in. We are going to put a teaspoon of salt. A teaspoon of cinnamon. Gives it a nice, good breakfast flavor. There we go. Now, this granola, we use it almost every morning for breakfast in this house, whether it be with yogurt, with smoothies, or all other types of, or even actually with milk on its own. And we put 1 teaspoon of vanilla in as well. Now comes some of the added things. So we have, this is our granola, is basically oats. We like to add in some other extra flavors, such as slivered almonds. We're going to put in a half a cup. Slivered almonds. we are going to put in some very special seeds. We have chia seeds. This is not mandatory, but adds some health and some healthy benefits to that. Chia seeds, flax seeds, all the grains that are good for you. And we have some shredded coconut right there. We're gonna add all that to our mixture and just mix it all together so that that oil and that syrup gets all over all the other ingredients. And you sort of want to see it shining, the oil and the syrup shine the rest of the oats and the other ingredients. Obviously, you can add chopped almonds or walnuts, depending on, skip the coconut if that's your flavor, however you want. And as soon as we see that we have that all wet, that all of our ingredients are wet and have that shine to them, we are going to lay this out on a baking sheet. Space here. We're going to pour this out onto our baking sheet. And try to spread it around as evenly as possible on our baking sheet. And then this is also going to go into our oven at 350 for 30 minutes, but you don't want to just leave it in the oven for all 30 minutes. Every, I would say 7 to 10 minutes, you want to take it out and stir it up so none of it actually gets burnt and other parts get to the top. You'll have a really delicious flavor smell in your house. And then when it's finished and you let it completely cool, again, you can add chocolate chips, you can add dried fruits, dates, apricots, whatever works for you. We store it. We store our extra in the freezer, keep it in a mason jar. Looks delicious. We have it almost every morning with milk, yogurt, smoothies, however works for you. I hope you've enjoyed. Something just interesting about oats is that oats are one of the grains that we would say a mezonot, but since we actually didn't make this into a batter, we never mixed it with a real liquid and it's not a flour that turns into batter. Granola actually stays the blessing of ha'adamah. And this is really a delicious, both these things are great, healthy, delicious breakfast options for you. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to send it back to Akron to Barala.
All right. Hope you can see me. Hello, everybody. After all the amazing chefs and also all the ladies that did the amazing cooking show, I'm left to impress everybody. So here we go. So our fire is on. I'm gonna make a omelet with fried potatoes inside with a amazing fridge salad, which is what I call it because I just go in the fridge and find anything I can get and make a salad out of it. I'm telling you, it's great. And here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is toast our amazing artisan sourdough multi-grain bread. Put it in the toaster. And that has a timer on it. I'm not even going to worry about it. Okay, here we go. With the potatoes, you leave the fire on. I'm not even sure how long because I never calculated it, so we'll just take it as it goes. And the best way of doing this, which don't try this at home, is finding out with water to see if it's ready. So you sprinkle some water, like 1 drop of water, and if it pops, then you know it's ready. If it doesn't pop, then it's not ready, and wait for it to pop. So I'm gonna start with my salad because that's what we're gonna do in the meantime. The first thing I'm gonna do is ready pre-washed cucumbers and slice them into rings because I like them rings.
and it's a no mix salad. It's just layers. And go. That's one cucumber. Put that in the bowl. There you go. And while I'm cutting and waiting for the fire to heat up so we can put our potatoes in, I'm just going to say a little thing continuing what my brother Moshe said about kosher, that it's just a beautiful mitzvah because really you can do it anywhere, you can do it at any time, and you're really doing a mitzvah, and it's a beautiful mitzvah. Now, some people say that the mitzvah of kosher is a mitzvah without reason, but I don't agree with that because it is a mitzvah with reason, and the reason is that by doing it, we connect to God. And the best way to connect to God is by doing something that He just commanded us. And even though we don't understand, and now it pops, okay, we're gonna lower the flame and put our potatoes in, and that's the sizzle you want to hear. There we go. And you don't want to crowd the pan because then they're not going to cook well, and they're going to be folded on top of each other, so one on top won't cook well. And then also you don't want to put too little because then it'll burn because all the heat will be focused on one area. Which, on that note, talking about heat and focused on one area, the idea of the pandemic, which we are all so scared of, is an amazing lesson for us because when we know that by protecting ourselves and it can help protect other people, we also have to remember that the spread happens very quickly. And so too in goodness. If something bad can spread so quickly, then something good for sure can spread much quicker and much better. And therefore we have to focus on what we can learn from this spread. That as soon as we do one action, just a touch, just just a helping hand for someone. You do one helping hand, put a coin in the pushka, giving charity. It can really do a lot and go a far way. You never know what your action will do, and you will see the results and quickly. So let's take that as a lesson for us. And now we're going to go for the lettuce. I like to do the very thin, bulky lettuce. I like it cut small. And now our amazing artisan sourdough bread has popped. And moving along, we have the next ingredient, which is tomatoes. And these tomatoes are small, so we're just going to cut them. We're just going to cut them into a couple pieces. They were probably picked by my mother this morning in the garden that we have, beautiful garden. There's tons of tomatoes and basil, which we will actually use some of that too as a fresh top. Another note about the kosher is that the mindfulness that we have when we eat kosher brings us a long way, because just by eating the kosher, you're not doing anything else, just by eating the kosher, we actually elevate the food. As Shmuley mentioned earlier on, that when you elevate the food, you also have an effect on you, on the food, and on the world at large. Now we're going to flip the potatoes here. And I don't know why we flip them. I just think they're because they're supposed to brown them. I don't know if it's supposed to make it better or not, but we'll find out. I just know that fancy chefs flip them. Okay, I think they're ready. And now I'm going to put the pan for the eggs on the fire. And we don't even need to add oil to our pan because the potatoes are already oiled. So we're just going to add them straight from that pan into here. And you already have oil in your pan. And here we go. We're going to crack the eggs. Let's get a cup over here so we can see any blood spots. One down, no blood spots. And we'll use 2 eggs for today. We'll
put it back in the cup so we can mix it well with some nice spices, whatever I found in the cabinet, once again, because that's the easiest thing to do. Here we go. Some pepper, yeah, basil. Why not? Go for some basil. And then we go for salt. Let's get some pepper and give it a good mix. And make sure not to use the open side like I did, because then you're going to get too much of that pepper inside and it won't be funny. So give it a good whisk. And let's find out again if it's hot enough. It should be, because it had the hot potatoes. But just in case, I want that sizzle from the egg, and it's not ready. So in the meantime, we're going to finish with our salad here. Cut some avocado. Slice it right in there and scoop it in. Now I think our pan is ready. There we go. Cover it right up and just give it a minute or two. Keep it on a lower flame so it cooks through well, thoroughly. And back to the salad. Put some scallions. Which were pre-washed, and I slit the middles of them so I can get through to all the inside parts, because just like lettuce, which was pre-checked and washed, I also did that with the scallion to make sure that there's no insects in them, because insects are not kosher and we are not going to eat them. All right, next, moving back to our egg. Let's see what we got here. Move it around, get that liquid over so we can flip it. Okay, the flip doesn't always work, but let's try it anyway. And if it does, oh, that's great. There we go, and half down. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Let's move that out of the way and continue frying. All right, now back to our salad. We're gonna add some quinoa here, because that's what I found in the fridge. And it's great and nutritious and amazing. And then I love lots of sour things. As you'll see soon, we're going to add the lemon juice. I don't go light on the lemon juice. And some sauerkraut on the side, because it's great. And if I would have pickles, definitely put it in there. Here we go with the dressing. Some lemon juice. Some olive oil. Olive oil is great. Add a lot of that. We got some pepper. And some salt. We have a whole team over here cleaning up my mess. The whole camera crew. And there we got it. We got our amazing egg with our salad. Let's take out our bread. Add some margarine on it, because I'm actually using meat utensils and not dairy utensils, so we wouldn't be able to use butter. And a slice of that here, and a slice of that here. We got our fancy bread with our fancy butter, because a little bit is a lot more fancy than a lot, right in the middle, and put it on the side of your egg, and there you go. Voila. What a fancy breakfast. Amazing. Thank you very much. Back to Chef Rabbi Moshe. Enjoy. Okay, and there you have it. So if you ever thought rabbis don't belong in the kitchen, now you know. Sometimes, maybe they do belong out of the kitchen, but they can do well once in a while, a little bit in the kitchen. So thank you all for joining. You're welcome to stay on our Zoom call to chat, but this concludes our attempt at our Sasonkin Boys cooking demo.